In this video, we're continuing our journey to build the world's fastest M340i. Today, we make it lighter. But before we get to this, let me catch you up. This is Andrew's M340i, and in version 1 of his build, he put down 1,151 horsepower to the wheels, landing him at an 8.6 quarter mile, breaking the previous world record. With this taste of victory, we went back to the track to try to beat our own record, but unfortunately, this time it didn't go to plan. The head lifted, and we almost lost the car as it slid sideways down the track. Now, while Andrew was okay, it was a different story for his motor. So we're back building his car lighter, safer, and faster in our pursuit of 1,400 horsepower to reset the world record. In our last few videos, we put the car on a small diet by deleting some unneeded amenities, dropped in a brand new KLM Stage 3 engine with a giant precision turbo, a G80 M3 trans, and even had a couple custom parts made. And while everything's been going so good, our brand new custom-made wheels don't fit. And I don't mean the offset's wrong you can fix with a spacer, they don't fit over the knuckle. So let's make them. All right, so Andrew has been grinding away, I've been grinding away. There's a lot of metal shavings on the floor. Let's see if it finally fits. We're going to use the sticker of truth to see if we have clearance. Sticker of truth sponsored by CSF. Oh, look at all that clearance. Woo! Let's check the knuckle. I think we still need to go down on the bolt.
Maybe a hair on the knuckle, but the bolt's got a little ways to go.
Yeah. All right, back to the grinder.
All right, looks like we're all good.
In racing, your power to weight ratio is everything, so we're cutting out every pound we can. That said, I tried whipping Andrew's button to shape, but it proved ineffective.
Come on, baby, this is for the one record! Let's go! Come on! Lightweight! Downshift! Upshift! Downshift! Upshift! Come on! Whoa! Let's go! Yeah! Go, Andrew! Go, Andrew!
There's no way.
What do you mean? It went up almost 4 pounds.
Let's shave some real weight. Now, prior to having the roll cage installed, we cut the roof off to not only save 51 pounds from switching to carbon fiber, but it enabled our fabricator to tuck the roll cage as high as possible for the most in-cabin space. Now that that's all done, let's start out by installing our new carbon fiber roof. Now, whether you're looking to chop off your roof or you're looking for some simple bolt-ons, don't forget that we have over 100,000 products available at Kies.com. But with that, back to the video. Now, the panel bond does need 24 hours to dry, so we're not just gonna sit stagnant while that dries, we have something else to install.
So next up, we have these carbon fiber doors. We're actually doing front and rear doors, and we're gonna be pairing this with Lexan polycarbonate windows. Just the doors themselves will save about 160 pounds and maybe another 27 pounds for all glass, not counting the windshield, which will remain OEM.
Now for the front, we are going to basically be installing everything so that he has all of the OEM functionality, but in the rear, probably gonna skip a lot of that just to save some weight. We just haven't figured out how we're gonna mount it yet. So let's figure it out together.
All right, so we've made some progress. We have the driver's side rear door off. So let's do a quick weight check while Brian's working on the front passenger side. All right, so we just completed our first weigh-in, and the OEM doors, completely bare, weigh 27.6 pounds. The carbon fiber doors are coming in at 12.7 pounds. So now for the Lexan glass we're putting in the back, the OEM glass came in at 5.5 pounds, and the Lexan came in at 2.6. So now that doesn't include this back quarter section. This piece is all one solid piece, so it would be something that's a little bit tougher to make, so this guy will be going back in. So all in all, the OEM door weighs about 56 pounds. Now we're gonna be removing some items, but what we're gonna be putting back into the car is going to be 26.8 pounds. So off the rear doors, we should be saving 30 pounds each total, and it looks like Brian's just about finished wrapping up the front doors, so let's get those weights next. So the results are in. We just did the front doors. Now the factory door came in at 32 pounds and the carbon fiber doors came in at 15. So now that's just the frame of the door only. That doesn't include any Lexan windows, any door components. So it's pretty substantial just coming off of the frame. So now for the windows, the OEM glass weighed in at 6.4 pounds and we lost roughly half of that, going down to 3.1 pounds with the Lexan polycarbonate windows. So the components of the door come in at about 22 pounds a piece. Being that we're deleting the AC system, we really want to be able to roll the windows up and down. So we're going to be replacing the full OEM components into the door, minus a little bit of a modification that we had to make the cage fit. So the bottom half of this door had to be cut so that we could remove the cup holder to make the posts for the cage fit in. So in total, components, door frame, glass, everything. The OEM door comes in at about 60.7 pounds. Now we'll be going down with our setup to about 40 pounds, shaving 20 pounds per side. So that brings us to a grand total of about 100 pounds of weight loss, going from factory OEM setup to our current setup for the track, which should also give us about 1/10 of a second off of our quarter-mile time. So since we're trying to save as much weight as possible, we're eliminating anything that's not functional or essential. And one of the things that's gonna go next is actually gonna be the carbon exterior trim kit. So that weighs in at about 9.5 pounds. So let's head over here and do that while Brian continues prepping the doors. Next time somebody says double-sided tape won't hold on my carbon fiber trim, tell them to ask me about it, and my heat gun, and the tools that we had to use to cut through it. All right, so we've got the front lip off, the side skirt on this side off, and we're gonna be taking it off on the other side as well, but Brian's still working on that side. So we're gonna move on to the next section, which is gonna be the bumper. You might see that the diffuser is already off. However, we're still trying to make it more aerodynamic. So there's some blue tape on the bumper, and that's where we're gonna be making a cut to allow airflow out the back.
All right, to give you guys a progress report, as you can see, Andrew's car is looking amazing with the fully installed carbon fiber doors and Lexan windows. Now, when you think plastic windows, you probably think rivets and whatnot, but as you can see, we wanted an OEM style look with no rivets or anything like that. Even Andrew's front windows are connected to the factory motor system, so he can still use his window switches inside the car for factory functionality with a factory finish. And while for you guys, this is probably like 5 to 7 minutes of activity, it actually took 3 days. It is a very long, very tedious process, but I think the result speaks for itself. Another thing that speaks for itself is this OEM G80 M3 carbon fiber roof. It looks amazing, and it also helps save a ton of weight. Now, speaking of weight, over the last couple episodes, we have been compiling this box of extra parts like heater cores, air conditioning, and a lot of non-essential things for a race car. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna weigh all of this just to see how much weight we actually saved. All right, subtracting out the weight of the crate, we just saved ourselves 136 extra pounds. Now keep in mind, this is version 2 of the car. We already saved over 250 pounds. We just took off another 136 pounds.
All right, so everything you saw earlier in the crate beside the car is now out on the floor. We're gonna be weighing some of the key players so you can see what they came in at. All right, so one of the things that we decided to remove from the car to save weight was the heating and AC system. It made a pretty big impact, coming in at just shy of 41 pounds. Now, this might not be for everybody. It'd be nice to stay cool in the pits, waiting to make a pass, but we're trying to get every ounce of performance we can out of this car. All right, so the next thing that we decided to remove from the car was actually the aux cooling system. So since we're not gonna be pushing the car hard for long periods of time like you'd see on a road course, this was actually a great weight reduction, as the car will function normally without any issues for regular driving and track performance for a quarter mile. So we just weighed it, it pulled off 29 pounds of dry weight. Now we probably would have another 8 pounds if we included hardware and the fluid that this actually contains, since they hold a decent amount of coolant. All right, so next up we have the Lexan rear windscreen. So this is actually gonna be replacing our factory glass. It's a little bit more flexible. It's the same thickness, but we're saving a decent bit of weight off of this. So let's weigh this next and see where it comes in. All right, so 9.1 pounds. The factory glass came in at pretty much exactly 16 pounds. So that saves us 7 pounds of weight just off of the rear windscreen. So now, as far as the front windscreen, we decided not to replace that. It's a polarized setup because we have the heads-up display. We won't be able to run that if it's not polarized, but the other problem with the Lexan is you can see when I set this down, it was pretty flexible. That can actually cave in on you at high speeds with the wind pressing in. So in order to do that, you usually need a reinforcement bar going down the center of the windscreen, which we didn't want to mess around with, but there is pretty good weight to be saved off of that if you do decide to do it, as it's the thickest piece of glass on the car. So between the doors, windows, and then the crate that you saw, which is laid out on the floor around me, we saved about 250 pounds. Now that's gonna help us out a lot. We won't see that all on the scales because we're putting a lot of weight back in, about 140 pounds for the cage, 50, 60 pounds for the ice box, and a handful of other things just to make the car a bit safer and better on the track. So hopefully we'll walk away with a net of about 100 to 110 pounds lost, but we'll find out when we get to the track and we weigh it on the scales there.
All right, as you saw, we successfully made the car lighter. We're making it faster, so now let's make it stop.